What's up, guys? I'm back here to do a quick video. I'm gonna try not to stay on here for too long. I'm just gonna talk about a quick thing I noticed. Now, here's my problem. I watched Ghost in the Shell earlier, the live-action remake. Well, not remake, but live-action anime movie adaptation. Earlier with my brother, and I watched the anime movie last night, but the night before I actually watched it, so that way I could kind of have an idea of what I'm, you know, kind of an idea of what the movie was like before I watched it. And we got done earlier watching it, and I will say I actually liked the movie. Now I know most people didn't like it, but me personally, I actually did like the movie. Um, and the thing is, man, what I did is after I got done watching the movie, I looked up a few reviews just to see what other people thought. And here's the thing, man. I watched Chris Stuckman's review of the movie, and I pretty much agreed with everything he said because we both actually liked the movie. So, and then I watched this other review from this guy called Mother's Basement, and I will say he kind of came off as a douchebag in the video slightly in certain parts where he was basically talking about the animated movie. I believe it was called Innocence, the other animated movie that came out, and he was basically saying that they had to dumb down the movie, and basically saying that um, calling American moviegoers basically idiots, pretty much, and that's kind of what kind of made me think like, geez, is that necessary to be that harsh? I mean, yes, there are some Americans in this country that are idiots, but you could say the same thing about people in other countries too, that they're idiots. But the thing is, man, just because someone ends up liking, you know, movies like Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 one, doesn't necessarily mean that they're idiots or they don't know what they're talking about just because they liked it. Now, me personally, in some regards, I like the live action movie more than I did um the animated one, but this isn't a review, so I'm not really going to be talking about that. Um, but my thing is, he basically said that basically in short, that the movie was terrible, pretty much, and you know, it wasn't as good as the anime movie. And my thing is, you say that about this, this Ghost in the Shell live action adaptation, but then you basically do a video on the Death Note live action movie and basically say that the movie had to be dumbed down and all this other crap, and for the most part, but you liked it because the guy that directed it had passion and all this other crap, and then basically saying that it had some good aspects, good acting, good camera work, and technical aspects, and all this other stuff. But let's be frank here, the movie was shit. A lot of the characters weren't like anything like the characters were in the anime. They were out of character a lot of time, and you know, a lot of stuff just didn't really seem like it was actually, you know, came from Death Note a lot of times. And the thing is, man, I don't like that because most people have seen this movie already, and this movie is shit. And here's my thing. He's basically saying that, if you watch the movie a second time, you basically will understand it a lot better, and some of the things won't seem like plot holes and all that stuff. But here's my thing, man. With movies, a lot of time you shouldn't have to watch a movie 2 or 3 times just to, you know, see that these are not a plot hole. They should be basically up front from the beginning. And that already tells you that the movie's shit, because if the movie was good to begin with, you wouldn't have to watch it more than once. You would get it from the get go, and you'd better enjoy it as a film right then and there, but that's not usually how these things work. You defend one shitty movie while calling Ghost in the Shell shit. It just seems, in my opinion, very hypocritical. Defending one shitty film but calling Ghost in the Shell a shitty film, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Now, I'm gonna play a little bit of the video, and I'm gonna show you like certain parts that what I'm talking about, man. It just seems really, ridiculous to me. That's all I'm saying.
However, I do think that the illusion fits the movie itself to a T. Death Note is, despite the lashing it's gotten from fans and critics alike, an undeniably ambitious movie.
And that's where I have to disagree with you. Just because a movie is ambitious or the director has passion doesn't mean that the film itself is good. Just because movies take risks or do certain things doesn't mean that the movie as a whole is good or will be good. So that's another thing that I kind of have a problem with. It's kind of like with video games, and people always saying, "Oh, look at the graphics," but then the game ends up being shit. I mean, just because the game has good graphics doesn't mean it'll actually be a good game overall. That doesn't mean the characters will be good, the story will be good, or anything about the mechanics will be good, the gameplay will be good. Any of that shit will actually be good. That just means it's pretty to look at. And it's the same thing with Death Note. Just because it was ambitious and the director had passion for the show doesn't necessarily mean it was a good movie overall. And that's usually how it is. It's the same thing with Death Note. Yes, it followed the story of Death Note for the most part, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's well executed or was a good movie overall. Because a lot of the characters did dumb shit. A lot of the characters did shit that was just very questionable a lot of times. So that doesn't really mean anything, at least in my book. So that's all I'm saying.
Seeks to please series fans while transforming the manga's original concept of a notebook that kills people into a cautionary romantic coming-of-age story and a metaphor.
And that's another thing I don't like. Why would you take a show like Death Note and try to turn it into a romantic comedy? It just, what the fuck are you doing, man? Death Note is not about romance or comedic elements. It's a very more so serious story, because I've seen the show up to a certain point, and it's not really that lighthearted or jokingly. So I don't understand why that would be looked at as anything good.
For American interventionalism all at the same time. Unfortunately, that time is a scant hour and 40 minutes, and it's not nearly enough to accomplish everything the film sets out to do with its narrative. But still, I would much rather see a film adaptation try and fail than fail to try.
And that's another thing he said, that he'd rather see a film, basically try and fail instead of fail to try. But you do realize that in both situations it's still failing. So failure has never been a good thing. So that right there didn't make sense to me, because it's like you would want to have something try and fail but still fail than not try and fail. Now, I'd rather have something try and I'd rather have something not have to try and actually just do well to begin with. Because, what did Yoda say? Do, and there is no try, pretty much. I'd rather the film do well instead of having to try to do well. That's the way I look at it.
I have been one of the most vocal defenders of Death Note ever since the first trailer dropped, because despite its apparent deviations from the source material, its slick cinematography, neon-tinged color palette, and generally bold direction gave me the impression of a film born from passionate creative vision. I kind of think it could be good, rather than a soulless studio calculation. That much should have been obvious from the film's production history. You don't push through a cancellation and multiple studio rejections, insisting on a $50 million budget for an R-rated thriller just to make a quick buck. And now that it's finally streaming to an internet-connected device near you, I can say with confidence that I had the correct impression in that regard. It's clear from every frame, cut, and musical cue in this movie that director Adam Wingard had something to say with this project, and that he was trying his damnedest to say it right. This is not simply an attempt to cash in on brand recognition.
And yeah, you say there's not an attempt to, basically cash in on name recognition, but here's the thing, man. I will say this. I looked this up earlier. I looked up Ghost in the Shell, and I saw that basically, the movie had recouped its budget pretty much. And here's the thing. Man. At least with Ghost in the Shell, at least I can say this. It did its best to actually stick to the manga and actual, movie and the animes and stuff like this. With this, it didn't really do it so much. And the thing is, man, at least with that film, in my opinion, it didn't seem as much as like a waste of money. This right here seems like a waste of money, to my opinion. This movie right here, to me, is on the same level as Dragon Ball Evolution.
The film has significant script problems on a macro level, and over-reliance on coincidence and inconsistent plot logic, but individual scenes and character beats are actually written fairly well, and the filmmaking supporting that script is impeccable. The editing and camera work is interesting and creative, the acting is mostly solid, and the music is fantastic, though very different from what you'd expect from.
And see, that's another problem I had. He basically saying that, the film did good on technical aspects. And that's the thing, man. It's like, yes, some people like the technical aspects of this, but the thing is, bro, that is not alone is going to help a film do well. It has to have a full encompass, everything, character, story, all that stuff. It can't be just technical stuff. So that's why, especially with me, I didn't like the film because a lot of this stuff did not seem to basically do what they should have done with the movie, and they should have tried to basically make it seem more so like the actual anime instead of trying to make these characters seem, not like themselves, pretty much. But instead, they tried to basically go this weird way of doing all the shit that just doesn't make sense.
The anime. However, none of that makes this a good adaptation. While the core of Death Note, the philosophical debate about what truly constitutes justice, does remain intact here, it is dumbed down and almost everything around it is mangled beyond recognition. Light Turner is not Light Yagami, his father.
And see, there you go. He said none of that makes it a good adaptation. And see, that's what I'm saying. So that doesn't necessarily make it a good film either. Just saying. Just because they've done slightly good things with it doesn't make it a good film as a whole.
There is certainly not Soichiro Yagami, and many other vital characters like Matsuda are nowhere to be found. Elle and Mia Sutton, the film's version of Misa, managed to land pretty close to their original personalities, though the changes to Light make them take on very different roles in the story, but only Willem Dafoe's Ryuk feels really accurate to the anime. If you're a fan of the original series and you expect this film to give you the characters and plot you love, you are going to be sorely disappointed. But meeting.
And see, there you go. That's what people come in expecting from a Death Note film, is to be like the characters and the story, and they didn't deliver on that. So that just makes it a bad film altogether. That's all I'm saying.
It on its own terms, it's not really a bad movie. That doesn't mean it's good necessarily. The hasty pacing and jumbled plot really hurt it, and there are points where it gets stupid with a capital R. But if you have an appreciation for the technical aspects of filmmaking, cinematography, editing, sound design, and effects work, you'll find that a lot of things in this film stand out as excellent. And as I found out...
And see, that's what I'm saying. He said it himself that it's not a good film, and basically saying that it relies on the technical aspects. So that's what I'm saying. That even more says that what I've been saying is that it's not a good film. It's not even a good anime adaptation. So how can you necessarily shit on the other Ghost in the Shell film, but basically say that because the technical stuff is good and certain other stuff is good, that it's better than the other one just because it's ambition and passion. It just seems kind of stupid to me. That's all I'm saying.
In my second viewing, the plot of the movie is actually pretty easy to follow once you know where it's going.
And see, that's another thing I said. You shouldn't have to watch a film 2 times just to understand the plot. It should be up front from the get-go. That's all I'm saying.
Of seemingly out-of-character moments, particularly for Ryuk, actually makes sense if you know what lies everyone is telling, and things that I thought were plot holes the first time through are frequently explained through smaller details and visual storytelling. This is the last point you can get off this ride before we dive into spoilers.
And that basically further proves it. See what I'm talking about. Just something that you shouldn't have to do as a film goer. You shouldn't have to watch a film like 100 times just to go through and understand certain things. Now, I'm going to skip to the end because I've already watched this, and I'm pretty sure most of you have already watched it. So, another thing about this kind of pissed me off toward the end when he was talking about the movie. Now, let me see. Where did it start? I think it was around here somewhere. Yeah, I think it was like right around here. Yeah, here we go.
This scene is just one example of the great filmmaking in this movie. I could point to pretty much any moment in the film and talk at length about composition, editing, and the other technical achievements that enhance it. I mean, I could make a whole video simply praising the way that they...
And see, and that's another thing I'm talking about, like, at the end of the day, that type of stuff is not what make a film great. It's, like I said before, story, characters, acting, stuff like that. That's to make a film great. Not so much what goes on behind the scenes.
Brought Ryuk to life with a combination of practical costuming and CGI. I'm not gonna do that here, but I hope I've said enough to prove my point, that this film is incredibly well put together on a technical level. Whether you like the style of filmmaking will come down to taste.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. You can't necessarily always base whether a film's great or not on how well put together it is. Just like with that game Agony. That game is very well put together, but it's a shit game. It's got good graphics, stuff is like all good, sound and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean it's a good game at all. So that's what I'm talking about.
But you can't deny that this film has style, and that style has...
Actually, I can deny it, but, just saying.
Has a purpose behind it. Death Note, as a film and an adaptation, is rife with problems. Problems that I fully expect will be...
And that's my point. It has problems, but yet you're trying to basically say that it's better than Ghost in the Shell, when in a lot of ways Ghost in the Shell is better than this movie. Just saying.
Total deal breakers for most of its potential audience, especially fans of the original anime. But unlike almost every other feature film anime adaptation we've seen so far, it is not just a soulless corporate attempt at cashing in on name brand recognition.
But I will say this, it may not be a soulless cash-in, but in a way, that doesn't mean it's not a shitty waste of money. I will say that. And that's how I look at it. Death Note is a shitty movie that was a waste of money that they could have actually put toward an actual better movie, in my opinion. The money they wasted on this trash, they could have put towards something better.
It is abundantly clear that something in the core concept of Death Note really spoke to Adam Wingard, and that he wanted to bring his vision for the property to the big screen.
Yeah, and that may be the case, but he did a shitty job of it though, because you pretty much, for the most part, a lot of people hate the movie. And myself included. I hated the movie. I watched it, it was shit. Then I went back and watched some of Death Note, and yeah, the movie is shit compared to the show. And like I said before, I can think of a lot better, more better live action anime adaptations. Ghost in the Shell, Alita Battle Angel, Cants. Those are like three better ones right there that you should go watch instead of this trash. I'm just saying. So all I can say is that Death Note is a piece of trash movie that they wasted a lot of money on. In my opinion, it's probably up there with Trolls 2 and Dragon Ball Evolution. And, all the other shitty movies that you can think of. Because that's what it is. They wasted their money on this. In which they could have put towards something better. That's all I'm saying.
Whether or not you think that his vision is valid or that he succeeded is ultimately up to you, but if you come to this movie with an open
In my eyes, he failed. But that's just me. Well, it's not just me. Other people feel that way too.
mind and a willingness to watch it twice, maybe, there are some
And like I said before, I shouldn't have to watch twice. And he basically said that if you have an open mind when coming to watch the movie, then it might be a better movie. But it's like, where was that same energy for Ghost in the Shell? Like, why didn't people have an open mind about that and give that movie a chance? That's all I'm saying. Instead of just hating on it.
of you who
But because I gave it a chance and I actually liked it in the end, so I don't understand why people didn't do it for that movie. But when it comes to this movie, oh, you say come in with open mind and watch it twice and give it a chance. But with Ghost in the Shell, you were basically shitting on it throughout the whole video.
will really enjoy it. I'm torn between
And
giving
see, that's what I'm saying. He said if you had an open mind and willing to watch it twice, you'd actually like it. But with Ghost in the Shell, he didn't say that. He basically was shitting on it, saying, all this crap about it. Just saying.
Death Note a bronze medal or black medal recommendation because I think that you can learn from its failures and enjoy its successes in almost equal measure. But I do
That's a good joke. What success is?
ultimately recommend it. It is an interesting, complicated, and technically impressive film, which is a hell of a lot more than
Just because it's technically impressive does not make it better than Ghost in the Shell. Like I said, man, you can have your opinion on the Death Note movie, but I can have the right to disagree with you. That's all I'm saying.
I can say for its anime adaptation contemporaries. Also, take this from a guy who's an expert in credits.
But that's the way I see it. Like, at the end of the day, Death Note is still a shitty film. It was a waste of money. And in a lot of ways, Ghost in the Shell is way better than it. And so are the other two movies I named, Alita and Cants.
Sequences, it has one of the best ending credits in movie history.
But that still doesn't save it from being a shitty film.
I don't know who decided to set the final moments of this film to Air Supply's Power of Love, but they deserve a goddamn raise. And weirdly, that's probably going to be the most
Yeah, they don't deserve shit. Just saying.
controversial thing that I've said in this entire review.
The Power of Love by Air Supply. This is a Death Note movie, motherfucker, not The Notebook.
At any rate, I'd love to hear
Yep, that's the one time I agree with the anime, man. It is fucking Death Note. It's not the fucking Notebook. It is not the fucking Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's a fucking Death Note movie, man. It's stupid as fuck, man.
what you guys think of the movie in the comments below.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. The end of the video. You already know how I feel about it. I fucking hated the Death Note movie. Think it's a piece of shit. I understand people are gonna probably disagree with me, but at the end of the day, that's what comes with YouTube. When you make videos, a lot of people are gonna disagree, but hey, not really much you can do about it. But at the end of the day, like I said, man, I thought Ghost in the Shell live action movie was a lot better, and I thought Death Note was a shitty film. So at the end of the day, man, I don't even know why they wasted the money on it. They could have taken that money that they spent on Death Note and made either a good game or a good movie out of it, instead of wasting money on that trash. But I'm gonna just leave it up to you guys to discuss in the comments. What do you think? if you were thinking about watching either one of these movies, in my opinion, just go watch Ghost in the Shell. It's way better than Death Note, the live action movie. But if you're gonna watch Death Note, watch the anime series or read the manga. Don't watch that piece of shit Netflix film because it's trash. It should never have been made, and it's one of those films that I wish that never happened, but hell, it happened. But anyways, I'm gonna get off here because I don't want this to be too long. But I'll potentially come back later and maybe do a video about something else. I don't know what I may do, but I'll figure it out at some point. So, but yeah, I'll see you guys later. All right, peace.